we use the word cabin and cottage rather interchangeably, but a cottage, I think, could so often be really just a suburban house that happens to be on a lake. And in fact, this really is much more minimal than that. You can think of this, it's kind of like a modern day log cabin. The clients were very interested in locating a very steep piece of land where there was rock outcroppings on a very private lake. They were totally fine to have no electricity, so to be relying just on solar power. And the kind of primary ethos was for the project to have a very low environmental impact. The challenge here, though, was how to get a cabin even as small as 1,000 square feet on a steep site. So the solution to this, which was working with the idea of the preservation of the shoreline to the greatest possible degree and to minimize the cutting of trees, was to negotiate with the municipality, where ultimately, instead of having a foundation for a 1,000 square foot cabin, what we presented to them and what they ultimately accepted was, well, what if we reduce the foundation to something as small as maybe half the size of a car, and if that's the only thing that's sitting on the ground and it's holding up the entire cabin within that the setback from the water, will that be okay? And they said yes, and that led to then having the mast, which is sitting on this foundation. It's about 60 feet tall. And as things moved along, as it does with all of our projects, we're looking at all of the various possible materials, the pros and cons economically, and then again, in this case, especially in terms of minimizing the impact on the environment, we decided we were going to use a very novel material, cross-laminated timber, which is basically solid sheets of wood. We were going to figure out a way to use this material to construct the whole cabin, so it becomes the envelope, it becomes the interior finish. Exactly what you see here is not a kind of a cosmetic finish. It's the actual construction material. I think the clients were quite eager to maintain a sense of modesty. So again, it's the smallness of the place, and once its structure is all figured out, there was a tremendous amount of mental energy that went to resolving all of these considerations of energy and the environment and how it's going to be fabricated. But when it's all said and done and you're in the space, there's a simplicity. All of that work is kind of falls away, and it's just the kind of immediacy, I think, between the occupants and this really beautiful setting.